Honorable Maskati maswera sei.
Maswera sei koma cost.
Ndimika mamuri kone zuro ku Sona.
Unfortunately, not as a person, but we were represented there.
You were represented
there? Yes.
How did you follow it then?
I followed it online after it was published or delivered.
After it was delivered?
Yes.
So what were the major takeaways?
To be honest, Costa, to be honest with you, there are no takeaways for me. Why? Because the State of the Nation address should actually identify issues that are sticking or that are topical to the lives and livelihoods of our people. So as much as I am concerned, I think what has been delivered by the president is empty, it is void, it is barren.
You mean he didn't say anything?
Yes, it's the same old rhetoric that we used to hear about. There was no substance, there was no positivity, there was no stimulus to the economy, even to the people of Zimbabwe. It does not inspire any confidence. Maybe you want me to explain why am I saying so? Yes, definitely, because the issues that are grappling with the people of Zimbabwe were not addressed. Let me give you an example. As it stands right now.
But he talked about the power problems that we are facing.
Yes.
He talked about the Ziggy having been, the exchange rate having been allowed to float freely. He spoke a lot of things.
Thank you very much.
We are facing hunger as a result of El Nino,
yes.
And that is the government is on top of the situation,
right,
and is trying its best to make sure that no one dies of hunger.
Thank you very much.
So I think there were actually some nuggets there. There were actually some things that he said.
All right, thank you.
Make a lot of sense.
When you are a president, when you are speaking on the State of the Nation address, you don't just highlight the problem that we have. You just have to, your role as the leader of the executive is to ensure that you give tangible solutions, you give confidence to the people to see how are you going to solve the problem. It is common cause that we are over 7.7 million people in Zimbabwe. They need support in terms of food. They are food deficient. They need support. It is common cause that we're always aware that the El Nino phenomenon will come upon us. We want to continue talking about the El Nino phenomenon up to this point. What we're supposed to do as government and as the president was to ensure that we find mitigation measures for El Nino and to prevent El Nino in the future. So to me, it's just the same old story. Because if I'm hungry, then what? What we really need is tangible solution on the power issues. You've been talking about.
People are being given food right now.
Where are they being given food?
All over the country.
We are talking about urban areas, talking about rural areas. The people who have been receiving food are the same people. In urban areas, no food has been received so far, or what they call the harmonized cash for cereal. Nothing has happened. We are told many people have been, his names have been taken down, but nothing has happened on the ground. So in the rural areas, only the people that have been getting that assistance is the same people that are getting. But the majority of people are not accessing this kind of help, which they really and gravely need under the circumstances.
Let's talk about this.
All right.
What do you make of the president's statement?
Yeah, maybe let me just introduce fundamentally a bit about the ZIG. The first error or the first lie that this government has made about the issue of ZIG is that the ZIG is backed by gold and a basket of foreign currency. To me, it's a complete lie. Why? If ZIG is backed by foreign currency, it must be easy for me to walk into a bank, if I don't trust the ZIG itself, or if I'm looking for money to pay petrol, to pay diesel, my fuel, need money to pay for passports, I should just enter into a bank account without any hassle to get the US to pay for those services. But that is not happening. So it is true that the ZIG is not backed by anything. It is not backed by gold, it is not backed by foreign currency. Because the fundamental feature of a backed currency is that when you are in doubt, when you doubt the currency itself, you should look at the underlying asset, which is gold or foreign currency. And that is not happening. And to me, it's just good as nothing. Secondly, on the issue of SONA, on the 5th of April 2024, when the RBZ governor introduced a new currency, we were told that the new currency will be traded under the willing buyer, willing seller arrangement. The foreign exchange market will be freely floated, and the market force will determine the exchange rate. But no, it's clear that it was a lie, because the president then came and said, we are now allowing it to be more flexible. which means it was not flexible in the first place. So I cannot continue to listen to this return.
Help me understand something.
Yes.
They actually pegged it at 13.50.
Yes.
When it was introduced.
Yes.
And then they gave some leeway of some 10% to businesses. And this is why you would go to major retails. When you're buying, you can have a rate of 15 or 14.50 or 14.90. So I don't think initially when it was introduced, it was not just free flowing, because there was that rate being pegged.
Okay, the 10% variation, yes. it was repealed through SI 81, through SI 81A. The amendment to the Exchange Control Act repealed that 10%. So business no longer have that latitude to sell their price with a 10% margin. They no longer have that latitude as of now. If they are doing it outside the law.
So they have to use
the former interbank exchange rate.
The former interbank exchange rate.
That is correct.
Which is now pegged at 25.
Yes. So you say that when you say that the exchange rate is determined by the buyer willing seller arrangement, we are saying how many people or who are the buyers. The buyers of foreign currencies are obviously these corporates and companies who went to banks and RBZ to look for forex and say, we need to buy forex and this is my rate. But then who is the seller? That is the problem. Most economic agents don't want to sell their US dollars.
Honorable, in your capacity,
yes.
Minister of Finance.
That's correct.
What were you going to do if you were in Mtuli shoes?
If I was in Minister Mtuli shoes, first of all, I would scrap the ZiG.
And what do?
I will scrap the ZiG, then allow for the use of the US dollar in the short to medium term. You know what, my brother? It is not the currency that is the solution to our problems. It is the economic fundamentals that must be in place before the currency issues are addressed. What do I mean by economic fundamentals? Every currency strength is determined or is largely influenced by production. We don't have the productive capacity, and once we produce in various areas, agriculture, industry, manufacturing, and many other sectors, and we export competitively, at that point, that's when we're going to say, let's now introduce a local currency. We cannot introduce a local currency without those fundamentals. And those fundamentals cannot take place now. Why, my brother? Because we don't have the infrastructure right now for production. Let me give a simple example. We don't have the important input of electricity. There's a load shedding from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. What does then that affect? How does it translate to the effect on the industry? How does it affect the agriculture sector? How does it affect almost all sectors of our economy? I was expecting the president when he was delivering his SONA.
Challenges are not only restricted to Zimbabwe. Zambia is also facing power problems.
That is very correct. But what we need to address is the extent to which Zambia is affected, the extent to which South Africa is affected. Are you aware that in Zimbabwe we are importing power from South Africa? We are importing some from Namibia. Why do South Africa and Namibia have access for exportation? It means at some point their power situation is not as bad as ours. I was expecting the president during his SONA delivery to actually give us a solution to the power crisis. To say, as the president, we have entered into an agreement with the so and so to ensure that we are going to have a new power plant, for example, the Batoka hydroelectric power plant in Zambia there. We have agreed that this power plant, which has the capacity of generating 2,800 megawatts, would assist us in this way, this way. That is exactly what I expect from the president.
But let's also talk about, because of the ZiG.
Yes.
Minister Professor Mtuli massive servants,
yes,
because they were affected by the devaluation,
yes,
of the currency which happened last week.
Yes.
So we are going to offer them a price. What do you mean? An increment, salary increment.
Okay.
What do you make of that?
First of all, it's not a salary increment, because their salaries have been devalued by a deliberate government policy initiative. So when your salaries have been devalued, when you are going, what is important now is to restore civil servants to their original position. Is to restore pensioners to their original positions. Because if you assume that a pensioner was getting a payout of, for example, 400 ZiG, it's no longer, that money has been devalued, or it has been decimated almost twice, or by almost half. What it literally means that the cost of living has gone up, and the purchasing power of that money has been eroded. What then do we do? So the minister should first restore them to their original position. Actually, their salaries must be adjusted by the exact rate of devaluation.
So muri kuti chii muri kuti kana vachiti chiata pay rise vari kunyepa?
Haisi pay rise. Tiri kungovadzosera vashandi pavanga vari before 27 September pakatwa devaluation. Tiri kungodzosera vashandi panzvimbo yavakanga vari totanga tavadzosera tozoita ma-negotiations yese, and I implore government through the TNF kuti iwise kuti no hapana vashandi vakadepriviwa ne-devaluation yakaita kusa 27 September. Tarisira kuti chokutanga sataenda kuma-negotiations e-TNF taida kuti vashandi vatenga vadzorerwa pavanga vari before devaluation, then tozotaura zve-pay rise. Yes.
Hamuri kungozvinzwira vateereri, ndo zviri kutaurwa na-Shadow Minister of the Citizens Coalition for Change, Koban Madzivanyika, vari kuti there was nothing from SONA. I don't know whether you agree with that or not. But so, Honorable,
yes.
Nyaya yekuwedzerwa kwema-salaries, we are going to adopt the minister's words.
Yes.
Zvinokanganisa zvakadii? Should we be worried?
Yes, we have to be worried because you know what then happens? There is that vicious cycle of money supply growth, which can arise out of this increment. But as a legislator, I'm concerned about our people. I would urge government to increase their US dollar salaries to compensate for the loss that happened in the RTGS, in the SIG component. Yes, the loss that happened by that was caused by devaluation should be compensated by an adjustment in the US dollar component. I think that's a way to reduce the cumulative effect of money supply growth and ultimately pushing price upwards, giving ourselves to remain in the vicious cycle of poverty.
But some are also actually saying we should get rid of the US dollar.
That's a dangerous move. You cannot get away with getting rid of the US dollar. The stability that we are experiencing in Zimbabwe right now, all the stability that we are seeing, the price stability.
There are many patriotic citizens who are ready to defend the ZIG right
now. No, to say let's not do away with the ZIG is not being unpatriotic.
But what you
not being unpatriotic
to people who want to defend ZIG?
It's good to defend, but it must be defended by economic fundamentals. We cannot defend the ZIG by just our mouths or by policing it with the police. No. We defend ZIG with our economic policies. We must demonstrate as government that we are consistently and continuously giving policies that are promoting the ZIG. So under the circumstances, it's not really ripe to introduce or to introduce any currency of any choice. It will fail. So the best way is to deal with the fundamentals first. When the fundamentals are in place, then we now gradually introduce our new currency. Yes.
Honorable, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thanks. Thanks, my brother. Thanks so much.